itself, or sort of a pure gameplay sort of thing. Although if you do want to see a full run of the Battlefront 2 campaign mode, the story mode, check out some of the earlier streams that I did back earlier in November of 2017, because I did go through the entire campaign with commentary and such here on the stream. So basically, we are picking up here with just kind of a little more, standard multiplayer kind of stuff in this case. Hey, James. I did want to point out, because I finally have it. Oh, and it's across the room. Oh, that the newest book that has some of my work in it, although it's, of course, reversed because of the way the camera works here, which is A More Civilized Age, Exploring the Star Wars Expanded Universe, actually got released this week. That is a book that I didn't write all of. It's an essay collection, and I wrote the afterword for that, while also writing essays in the previous 2 books for that same series. So for those of you who are curious about that sort of thing, you can find that series of books on Amazon. They're under A Long Time Ago, Exploring the Star Wars Cinematic Universe, A Galaxy Far, Far Away, Exploring Star Wars Comics, and then the new one is A More Civilized Age, Exploring the Star Wars Expanded Universe, which is more about the books. And of course, my book, my own book, the thing that actually gives me a little bit of profit, is, of course, sound like a Nemoidian now, a little bit of profit, is a Saga on Home Video, which you can find on there. But, hey, Antonio, we are jumping into just a little bit more Battlefront here as I sit on my cord and double-check to make sure I didn't mute myself, as sometimes happens here. I was asked, by the way, for those who are curious, watching this after the fact, about these headphones that I'm using. Hey, JL. Here are the headphones I'm using. Okay. They're the Turtle Beach limited edition Sand Trooper headset that was released back in, well, I guess it was 2 years ago now. It was released for the previous Battlefront. So that's something actually my wife got me as a gift that I've been using here. They had another one, too, around the same time. It just wasn't quite the same color scheme. This is the one where you can switch out the side panels of the Imperial symbol for, like, Stormtrooper helmet emblem kind of things, but honestly, I'm not sure where I put that. I think it's over with my comic boxes in a box that also has, like, the Lego Star Wars Lego instructions from the different sets that I have in the Star Wars office, as I call it. All right. So, I'm going to jump into this. JL, for what it's worth, is referencing there where he says seeing the recent video. I've actually put up 2 videos in the last couple of days, both recorded the day after Thanksgiving. There's a Patreon update, or a project update as I call it, where the Patreon supporters, patreon.com/Nathan P. Butler, by the way, are listed at the end. They get a thanks in the credits, but that's the one that sort of gives an update on what's going on with my different projects, like the Star Wars Timeline Gold, Star Wars Beyond the Films, Cloud City Casino, a Saga on Home Video, the live streams, all that stuff. It's all in one video, but then I did, because I've gotten asked about the despecialized editions about once or twice a week, every week since I started from the Star Wars Home Video Library on YouTube, which is about 4 years ago. I constantly get asked about the despecialized editions, so I finally did an intermission episode, kind of an off-series episode about that. So 2 new ones up on the YouTube channel at this point. That's the newest content out there. It's actually out there since I recorded the update. So let's see. So I'm at 3,905 credits. I am going to start this by jumping in and grabbing another Starfighter crate. Personally, that's the one that I feel is the most worthwhile for me, because I like playing the Starfighter Assault mode more than I like, say, Heroes versus Villains, more than I actually wind up using heroes as reinforcements during regular multiplayer matches of, like, Galactic Assault. So for me, the hero crate isn't... Ah, it's itchy! Isn't quite as worth it. 1 or 2 hero star cards, 1 other item and crafting parts, which is nice and all. But for 200 credits more, I can get a Starfighter crate, which guarantees 1 or 2 cards for Starfighters, which I tend to like to use more. And then another item and crafting parts and such to go with it. And I've had some fairly decent luck there. I'm tending to grab these because usually that other item, or some of the other items that are in it, depending on how many items it actually contains, a lot of times are star cards for troopers. So in that case, I'm still getting some trooper stuff, but I'm getting Starfighter stuff with it that's guaranteed, somewhat. And then you have your trooper crate that, gives you guaranteed trooper stuff, which I'm already kind of getting in Starfighter, and Starfighter is the one that could happen but isn't guaranteed, but it's friggin' 4,000 credits. You have a 1,600 credit difference, which is over 50% of this one. in order to get a trooper crate. So to me, I'm finding it more advantageous for me to use the starfighter crate. I know there's some people who swear by the hero crate instead. To me, since I use starfighters more than heroes, I think the 200 credit difference, which is not much, it's like one match, between starfighter and hero is worth it, so I go ahead and get the starfighter crates most of the time. You also notice up there as far as currencies go, I do have 80 crystals. That's from doing different milestones. Right now, that's not enough to do anything. The cheapest is 110. I did not buy any crystals back whenever they had microtransactions. Those are all from milestones, so yes, you can get them within the game. And then you have the crafting parts there at 1305. I just haven't felt the urge, except for once on getting just a basic level card. I haven't felt the urge to upgrade any cards yet, because I kind of feel like right now I would just be getting cards that I might be getting otherwise from just regular drops in the crates, now that I've finally unlocked all the characters and have started on the crates. So that's where things stand as far as that goes. Let's check out a starfighter crate. And why is my ear itching? Like I got a piece of hair in there bugging me. All right, so 4 items this time. Again, 1 or 2 plus another item plus whatever. Hey, Magpie, Russell. There we go. Just making sure I didn't accidentally. Every time I hit this little thing, every time my arm taps it, I want to make sure I didn't mute myself, because that happens too often. All right, so let's go for the other ones first. Raise, I can handle myself. Okay. As an emote, I suppose. Crafting parts, we're now at 1355. Luke's Jedi Reflexes, already got it, so that's a duplicate, 200. It's only 200 because it is just a common with the one little white marker up above. It does change as you go up to higher levels. And then here's one that is apparently guaranteed common because it's green, which will be 2 tick marks. And since I don't have any Starfighter stuff in here, this will have to be my Starfighter item. I got Yoda. Charged ion capacitors, which I'm assuming does something to better his thing where he flies and does like that of all the lightning ion stuff around him to disrupt others. For what it's worth, by the way, if you're trying to work on, like I am, you're trying to work on some of the milestones under career for the different starfighters, notice that when you get, say, to the Yoda ones, where's Yoda? Here's Yoda, right? It's use it 25 times. Use it 25 times. Use it on 25 enemies. So some of them actually are just use them. And it doesn't matter if you actually do anything productive with it. Other ones require you to actually affect an enemy. Generally, every one of the different hero ships has one row of 3 items after the row of 3 items each for the 3 different classes of regular ships. And the last one listed is usually the one that requires you to do something to somebody else, whereas the other 2 are just do something, and you'll get credit that way. JL, I've answered numerous times over the streams. The only Power Rangers I've ever seen is the original, and that was only up until probably around the time that Tommy became the White Ranger, and I don't remember a whole lot of it. The movie from that era, and the recent reboot film. I have seen nothing between at all. Okay. So let's jump into, where was I? I think I was working on, am I still working on my heavies? Yeah, I'm still getting heavy kills, working my way towards 200, but that's just going to give me the gun I've already got plus credits. But when you actually look at that weapon, which is right here, if you actually get 150 kills with that weapon, that gives you night vision, which would be pretty cool to have. And eventually if you get 250, which isn't, you know, too crazy, get the ion shot. So because I got that from the Elite Trooper Edition, I've already been able to start working my way through that. So that's where most of my kills for a heavy have actually come from. I'm also working right now on, where's heavy? Yeah, on the impact grenade thing, but that is taking forever. And sentry gun kills, I've actually got most of those just today because I want to get the sentry crate. And then this one's kind of interesting because Defender is basically just something that says, well, if you take damage, you get points. So you can basically be someone standing in the line of fire to protect others, is I guess the theory behind it. So you're soaking up damage. Basically, all you got to do is keep getting your ass kicked. And every time you do, you are constantly soaking in more damage, and that goes up and up and up until it finally hits 10,000. So I'm slowly working my way through the various challenges available at this point. So I already did today's timed one, which was the one relating to 25 heavy kills. And apparently I must have said something that sounded like I was talking to a certain Apple assistant, because I've got my work MacBook sitting in front of me so I can track my classes, even though this is usually a pretty dead time of day. And I must have said it because up in the corner a little box appeared saying, "I didn't get that," or whatever it is she says whenever you completely screw up what you're saying. I have a feeling I'm going to need to turn the air conditioner on or something. So Maz's Castle. I have played on Kashyyyk a few more times, so I think now I've seen every map. In fact, I played more on Kashyyyk and Takedown of the last day or so than I had than I have anything else. Okay, let's see. Plumbing fixing. You are a braver man than I, Russell. My way of fixing the plumbing is to call the plumber, because I do not trust myself dealing with pipes. I would destroy something. You know, honestly, Antonio, I'm not sure that I care really, because most of the time, well, not most of the time, a lot of the time the home video releases have their own cover art anyway. But I guess when it comes to the most recent two films, they have on some of the releases used poster art. I'm just more curious about things like, okay, well, are they going to do a release at Walmart again that comes with a little collection, little piece thing, plus the droid-based cover? And if so, what droid? Are we talking about the evil BB-8 droid that everybody was calling BB-Hate before he had a real name? Or is it going to be BB-8 again? Or is it C-3PO or R2-D2 or whatever? And will there be a release that has a 3D Blu-ray included in it at all? I mean, what's on the cover I don't really care about nearly as much as what's included or what the exclusives tend to be, because the exclusives are the ones that are the pain to hunt down sometimes. Like, I just found out that apparently in the UK there's another exclusive alternate cover version of Force Awakens and another one of Rogue One that I'm not sure how to get yet. That were released by some, I think it's called B&M or something, some bargain place, the way I understand it. Alright. It's cool that he's already doing a commentary. I think J.J. Abrams' commentary for The Force Awakens was pretty cool. I've actually listened to that one. Fight as a family? Mom likes you best! Anybody? Anybody over there? Anybody over there I can kill? Oh, there is somebody, but they were too high and they killed me. I'm with you. Yeah, then there's some things I guess that you just can't fix. We are looking at probably another $700 at least on top of the original $600 for pet care this month. So needless to say, we applied for the care credit card today, which is basically a thing that lets you for short-term medical and veterinary expenses for like people or animals. You do the care credit thing, and basically you can use that to pay for certain procedures, and then it's like 6 months or whatever, no interest. So we're gonna be doing that. I mean, we'll have the money to pay the bill. It's just one of those things where if we do it all at once, that's a heck of a hit. So we'd rather space it out, and if it's a no interest thing, then why not? By your side. So, let's see. Missed the thing about the Power Rangers season, so may need to be said. Oh, that they can take it to the theater? That's pretty cool. If you're interested, by the way, in podcast commentaries, audio commentaries you can download, why, you should check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Nathan P. Butler, where you will find my commentaries available for the middle tier and above for Clone Wars episodes and Forces of Destiny, and eventually there'll be Rebels commentaries and all kinds of stuff. 2 commentaries at least every single month being released by yours truly. Would I stream them again or watch them? Watch what, JL? If you're talking about Power Rangers, probably not, because the movie I can get into and I'll probably watch again. I've got it in 4K, so I can probably watch it again, but the original TV series, probably not so much. It's hard for me to go back and rewatch a lot of stuff from that era, because it's one of those things where it's better on nostalgia than it is watching it the first time.
I'm with you.
Like, you remember things being much better than they actually were. Like, even Generation 1 Transformers and G.I. Joe, I go back and watch and I'm like, oh my god, did I actually think that episode was cool when I was younger? Wow, I was an idiot. That kind of thing, you know. Uh-oh! Big shot! I just want to know who decided that the Heavy's weapon should basically be a golf ball collector. You know, one of those things you go ka-dunk, 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 to pick up all the golf balls people drop.
Defend the east and west
or
side
lose.
And watch for first order explosives. Go.
Only thing I don't like about digitizing from VHS is that audio hiss that you always have. Wait a minute, I guess theoretically you could pull the audio, clean it, and then slap it back on there, but I don't want to say I'm too lazy to do that, but I'm too lazy to do that. So am I? Okay, yeah, I'm a rebel. I'm a, whatever you call it, not rebel, but otherwise. Oh, if you're digitizing them from DVD, then you won't get that, because all you got to do is just rip them from the DVD. But yeah, anytime you're digitizing from VHS, you got that hiss, that analog tape hiss kind of thing. Cool. Only DVD set I've ever had that had 20 seasons of anything was the Law and Order set that came out a few years ago, the complete series set. And yes, I did a massive rewatch of all the Law and Order franchise stuff, including Homicide: Life on the Street and everything.
Counterattack now.
Never again. Awesome stuff, but way too many months of my life spent doing that.
Only I can save you.
Uh-oh! It's Kylo Ren, guys! Be careful, he'll get his mascara on you. Well, I'm hitting something because it's doing the little X symbol. But what am I hitting? Oh, I must have been hitting somebody's turret. Because it said destroyed instead of something about anybody getting killed. I used to be really good in Destiny with using their equivalent of an impact grenade, the one that you just throw and it explodes on, you know, when it touches something. But not so much on here. Leave me the hell alone. You shoot me up there and then I back down the hill and you gonna chase me? Time to die. Nice. I still need to, every time I think about it, I think about my Excel list that has all my list of like my Star Wars signed stuff and the rest of my collection. I think I need to finally sit down and start going through my my comics and make sure I put my comics on there, and then I never actually do it. So that was another moment of me going, ooh, I should grab my comics and start putting them on the Excel spreadsheet. No, I know I'm not going to do it anytime soon.
I'm with you.
Kaboom!
Kaboom! And this is a Rancor. Yeah, it's a Rancor that I did. I was wondering what my emotes were. Kaboom! He sounds so enthusiastic. Not kaboom, it's kaboom! Sounds like one of those guys that see you at a party and be like... In other words, sounds like a douche.
Come on.
Kaboom!
Get the bomb off the west turbo laser.
I'll tell you what I've managed to do a lot in the last 24 hours or so, and that is use the I'm getting killed. Use the sentry cannon to tear up
We're just losing people now. Go.
the heroes or the villains when they come in, because you get far enough away that they can't deflect all the bolts back, or they're facing the opposite direction fighting somebody else. You can just tear them apart with the sentry gun.
System, so we don't need to hold the order off forever. Just can't let the stormtroopers seize more
Yeah,
ground.
I created one to try to track everything when I was moving stuff around in my office, but I haven't done anything with the comics yet because they're all sitting in comic boxes. $60 for a signature. See, armed and out. I usually don't try to collect signatures from actors and actresses anyway. Usually it's from writers and voice actors. So to me that wouldn't be worthwhile, but that's because that's just not something I collect. But if I did, I mean, those are some pretty big names if you're a fan of Power Rangers stuff. I mean, they were the originals. Die! I don't think I killed him. I don't think it worked. Oh, dang. Pretty elaborate. The blood of Vader flows through you. Did you have like a transfusion? I think I've made that joke plenty of times before, but it still is just as medically appropriate.
Castle's been infiltrated!
Are you offering me a job?
No, actually, but thank you for asking. Thank you for asking for that clarification, Ray. Oh, kill assist. Not an actual kill, so I don't know if it counts towards getting those impact grenade kills. Probably not. But it's hard. Oh, shit. Get behind me. Hot knife through butter! No. Yes, I did do it. I did kill him. It was Kylo Ren that got me. You're like, don't you hurt my grandpapa! Boom. That'd be good if there was actual, you know, further customization built into it. I mean, they're talking about cosmetic customization. That's why I haven't spent any crystals yet from those ones I got from Milestones, because I don't know what they're going to be used for in the future. I'm kind of like, well, might as well save them at this point. So if Russell doesn't come back, if Magpie does not come back in a few minutes, we should assume that he has managed to flood his entire house, and we should probably send the National Guard or the Coast Guard with their boats. But I like to meet the original Power Rangers cast. I mean,
I'm on my way.
As much as any cast from, you know, something I watched when I was younger, maybe. At least I remember the original Power Rangers cast. Like, if you asked me if I wanted to meet the original VR Troopers cast, I'd be like, I don't even remember what they looked like, except for the weird helmets. That is... I love the fact that when a ship blows up, pieces of the ship wind up falling on the ground on the actual map. Get off me! At least I damaged him quite a bit before he could take me down. Bastard. It's going to be just like most of the other matches recently, where I will get to the point where I've got enough points for a hero right as the match ends, and I won't be able to actually do anything with the hero. Yeah. I mean, I remember the original team, including Tommy, and I dropped off right around the time that, I guess it was the movie happening. He went White Ranger, and they replaced Red, and I think it was Red and Yellow Rangers got replaced, maybe? That I don't remember. I just remember that Red Ranger got replaced and somebody else got replaced right around that time. Oh no! And we are screwed! It's over! Oh no! Overtime just refilled. Somebody managed to get to the spot again. Oh, kill! EA did nothing wrong. Assuming that's a joke. Although, honestly, I mean, there is a way in which EA did nothing wrong, which is the fact that, you know, AAA games cost a lot more to make now than they did back in the era of the early PS3, Xbox 360 games, and yet we as consumers still assume that the price point on the game should be the same, so they have to make up for the money from somewhere, and if they're being demonized for season passes and paid DLC, then If we want continued support to AAA release, its multiplayer servers and so on, the money's got to come from somewhere, which is where microtransactions usually come in. Where they have issues is that the microtransactions were related directly to progression, which meant it became pay to win instead of pay to look cool or something like that. Nice. As long as they don't add yet another currency, right? Because we've got score, we've got battle points, we've got credits, we've got crystals, we've got a way of determining how you level up your account, a different way to determine how you level up your classes, and a different way that you have to level up, or different ways to level up your cards, different ways to gain more. I mean, there's just a lot of different working pieces. I find it's easy to understand once you start playing it, but I can see where trying to explain it to somebody who's brand new, who hasn't actually tried to play yet, could be difficult. So adding in yet another currency, you'd wind up with kind of the same issue that people had with Star Wars Uprising, just too much to track, potentially. Okay, let's see. So 18 more of those. Still not even halfway there. I need to just let myself die a lot to get that. 80 more heavy kills to get what I already have. 70 more to get night vision. Yes. Oh, no. Heavy. How many Back to the Future sets do I own? I don't actually, I don't collect them. So I've just got the big recent set where it's the Blu-ray versions of the movies, and then it's got the DVD set of the cartoon series, since they don't have a Blu-ray version, inside the same set in that flux capacitor box. Exactly. Games, and that's what I've said about, you know, if you're doing, and it's even quoted, it's even a phrase that I use in that book, that A More Civilized Age, when I did the afterward, you know, that if your fandom is, if your fan project or the thing you're doing as a fan is becoming stressful or feeling like more of a burden than fun, you're kind of doing it wrong. And now I'm on Kashyyyk, and I've been on Kashyyyk over and over again in the last 24, 48 hours, after for days and days, like over a week, never getting to see the Kashyyyk maps at all. I do like the fact that you can play the Kashyyyk map during daytime or night. Thought that's pretty cool. Whoa!
What's this?
Come and get me, mother! Still gonna die, probably. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, we know we're already getting at least one more ship, or is it two more ships, next month, or in a couple of weeks. We're getting a couple new heroes, we're getting 2 new maps. So I could see them including those. I mean, they make sense. I guess you would have to have some type of equivalent, though, for each other era, right? So, like, if you have an ARC trooper that is a new support class, like the Enforcer or the Aerial, then what is that equivalent of a trooper in say, the First Order era, right? And more, let's see. What are my opinions on the Phasma novel? Pro and cons. If you like a game or if you like a story that is basically Lord of the Flies meets Mad Max in space, then you'll probably like it. I don't, so I mostly despise the Phasma novel. I felt it was an extreme slog to go through. I mean, not a bad story, but also not a fun read for me at all. It just, no, it was not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea, whether it was Earl Grey and hot or not. Any Star Wars media I'm asking for Christmas? Nope, because as you say, I already have it. At this point. The irony being that there may not be anything Star Wars-wise that it makes sense to get me for Christmas, but for my wife, it's easy to do stuff for her for Christmas or for birthdays or anything like that, because she loves the Star Wars Build-A-Bears. And they keep coming out with new editions of the Star Wars Build-A-Bears, so... Phasma versus Mad Max versus Waterworld. I would watch Waterworld repeatedly over watching any of the Mad Max films. Now, granted, I haven't seen Fury Road, but I've seen the other Mad Max films, and I could not stand them. So, I'm sure that makes me kind of alone out there. Is the next Star Wars video release going to be in 4K? So, we've talked about how it's... how the original film licensing rights and all that stuff works. So, I'm assuming we're just talking about in general. We might actually see that because Disney made its first foray into any kind of 4K releases just recently with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And that is another of their properties that are part of sort of a bigger cinematic universe that's not Disney per se, but a Disney subsidiary with Marvel, right? Kind of makes me wonder if it's possible that we're going to see Last Jedi get a 4K release when it finally hits. But you notice that they haven't retroactively gone back and done 4K releases of other films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff yet, which makes me wonder if we do get a 4K version of The Last Jedi, will we get one for The Force Awakens, will we get one for Rogue One, or will we wait on both of those for goodness knows how long? Sorry, this is a... There we go. We can say downside of me having to check the system is sometimes I do have to, you know, check the system there. Fury Road is good. That is good. I may wind up checking that out. Beowulf versus Kylo Ren. I honestly don't remember the Beowulf story well enough to say. Worst canon and Legends novel. And thoughts on Join the Resistance. Wow. Worst canon... Excuse me. Worst canon novel. I'm probably going to go with Phasma, because it's the only one so far I can think of that I really just did not enjoy throughout. Legends, gonna be tough. I'm going to go with either Ruins of Dantooine or Razor's Edge. Did I like Join the Resistance? I think it's tough to pinpoint chronologically. I think it's a decent enough series, except for when they delve into the fart wedding in Join the Resistance 2, Escape from Vodrin, where they have the idea that Kari Kun and Snap Wexley got married, and J-Squad ran the wedding and gave them food that basically gave everybody massive flatulence, and it was basically the incredible farting wedding. Because not only is that utterly stupid, and on par with, you know... the farting Eopie kind of thing. But it also doesn't really seem to make it... It makes it harder to fit that series into canon chronologically than it even was before, because in the newest arc of Poe Dameron, where they are apparently finding Lor San Tekka, or just about to, they're still not married yet. So how in the hell could they be married in Join the Resistance, Escape from Vodrin already? And that wedding had to have taken place prior to the original Join the Resistance, or actually no, sometime during the middle of the original Join the Resistance, because the ending of number 1 leads directly into number 2, and there's no other time gaps in which all the squad could be there for that to happen. So yeah, it's just it's kind of frustrating, and I wonder if the people writing it, the pair of people writing it, actually bother to read other stuff. But at the same time, you can make the argument, you know, is the guy writing Poe Dameron bothering to check and see what else is being developed around that same era too, right? Oh, shit balls! Mother! Oh, did I just escape from Kylo Ren? I escaped from Kylo Ren! I got killed, but I escaped. Do I think Leia will die in Episode 8? I'm betting yes. Or something, because they say it gives her a proper farewell kind of thing. I mean, they were always going to be slowly working their way in this saga, or in this sequel trilogy, of sort of doing that generational handoff. But with Carrie Fisher having passed away and them claiming they will not be doing an older CG Leia like they did for the end of Rogue One, for young Leia, they have to have some way for her not to be part of the story in Episode 9. Unless they're just feeding us a load of crap and they are going to do a CGI thing. Which Miller is that, Nathan, that you're talking about? Ah!
is powerful.
Make Star Wars directors George again. You gotta be careful and make sure you're enunciating when you use phrases like that, because apparently in the last election it was all about Make America Great Again, and apparently some people in Hollywood took it as Make America Rape Again, and now all of a sudden, because of that enunciation problem, here we are with all the scandals. Oh, gotcha. Would I know him from anything else? Because I haven't seen Fury Road, so that doesn't tell me anything. And did I hear what you died from? I don't recall. I think so, but I don't remember. But then again, that's not something that I tend to focus on, so it may be that I heard it was like, oh, that sucks, and it just completely left my brain again. Vince, bye-bye. Admiral Holdo could be a good convenient replacement. She's batshit crazy if you will read Leia, Princess of Alderaan. And I hope she's just as freaking nuts in whatchamacallit, in Last Jedi. It's kind of like what people like, oh, Star Wars is more representative. It's got all these positive women now. Well, yes, they do, but they've also got some women who are batshit insane, like Afra, who's probably my favorite character of the new canon, and Admiral Holdo. So, yes, they're giving more women characters, but they're also, you know, we have some lunatic fringes on there. I'm so glad the plumbing has no leaks. I'm not sure if that's exactly the word you're looking for. Although it does remind me of the quote that somehow always sticks in my head from the first pair of episodes of the X-Men 1990s cartoon. As Archimedes said, we've discovered the theory of displacement. Eureka. From Beast. I don't know why that sticks in my head so much. Although, you know, if the problem is urethra and you're saying the plumbing has no leaks, I'm assuming that means that the urinary tract infection is gone. Still don't know him. But I guess that's good. Oh, the Palpatine tried to do something, but apparently it didn't work. And then he did something and it worked. I am finding that Palpatine sometimes on these maps has the ability to fry you with his force lightning through concrete walls. It's kind of fucked up. Kind of bullcrap. Uh-oh! Pull back! Pull back!
Not ready to board the cruiser yet.
Protect the tanks! Yeah, Kashyyyk. Now I've been playing almost nothing but Kashyyyk and shit, where was he? Oh, Kashyyyk and Kamino the last couple of days, it seems like. With a little bit of others. Or Kashyyyk and Takodana and a little bit of Kamino thrown in. It's weird, because it's all supposed to be one map rotation, but it seems like the map rotation leans heavily in one direction or another for each player for a while. Not so much for the community as a whole, though, because some people see the same maps over and over again. Some people won't see those maps at all. Whee! Hello!
West Juggernaut, ready to explode!
West Juggernaut, ready to explode!
Stay on your toes. Can't be far.
Something about Rey in a what? I missed that one. Rey in a gold bikini. That I don't see. And I hope they do not. You know, nothing against Daisy Ridley. She's a lovely lady. But one of the things that you need to that somewhat undermined the whole issue of Leia being sort of a strong character, and Padme and so forth, is the way that they dealt with sexualizing the female characters. I mean, hell, even friggin' Ahsoka was wearing inappropriate clothing when she was 14 early in the Clone Wars, and then got a boob window when they changed her character model. So they're not exactly batting 1,000 when it comes to doing a good job at not sexualizing female characters. But so far, They have not been doing that in the newest films. I'm more concerned they're going to put, like, Finn in a gold bikini than that they would do that to Rey. Happy Feet and Babe Pig in the City. You're not instilling a lot of confidence in me at this moment. Granted, I've never seen either of those, but somehow I'm not thinking that they are Star Wars-esque. Unless it's a Babe, a Pig in the City in space! Alright, having to push through a quiz. And good to go. Here we go. Oh! It is gratifying, but also maddening the sheer amount of work that our online students put in once they get back from the Thanksgiving break. It's like they realize, oh, I am actually taking a class that's online. I guess I should probably do something. But then it's kind of awesome because then some of them will end early and not have to worry about it during finals or worry about it, you know, the last couple of weeks. But it makes for an interesting monitoring pattern. At least they're not going so far as 7 of 9 or to Paul. Yeah. I just now got into Voyager in my Star Trek rewatch, so I haven't run into 7 of 9 yet, but I only remember seeing about a season of her and was not impressed. And to Paul, from a costume standpoint, I think they did, but I don't remember her being overly, like, heavily sexualized. Was she? Or was it just the way they did her initial costume? I don't know. I just watched Enterprise within the last couple of years as part of this rewatch, and I barely remember anything because it made very little impact on me. Speaking of making an impact, how's about one of you guys eat some Impact Grenade and get me another kill for my account? Hey, no? All right, well, screw you then. Die, 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 my darling. That's Metallica, isn't it? Not Megadeth? It's been a long time. Phasma in a chrome bikini. But at least you say it's a chrome, so still works, I guess. Picard or Kirk? Picard. Captain Kirk is living proof that all of our concerns about sexual harassment and everything in the modern world will not carry over to the 23rd century because he is still allowed to captain a starship. What if Doom Guy from the 2016 game faced off against 1,000 stormtroopers? Couldn't tell you because I have not played the 2016 Doom. But I got a feeling he'd eventually get overwhelmed just because of 1,000 stormtroopers. I'm actually going to be playing Doom VFR and probably doing a live stream of it on Saturday because that comes out this Friday. If you're looking for the PlayStation VR hardware with the camera included and the new headset and the new processor box that allow HDR pass-through, that's the second way to get it. If you want just to get that bundle, if you want the Move controllers, you can, and that newer hardware, you can grab the Skyrim bundle. In the armor with the bikini on top of it, there you go. Kind of like, and you might say, well, that's unprecedented, but hey, Superman wore his underwear outside of his uniform, so, you know. See, I don't remember that very well. I'm sure I saw it, it made little to no impression. Like most of the characters on that show, made little to no impression. Oh my god! At the end of the series, this character died. That sucks for him. You know, it's kind of one of those, I don't care. Is there a different way to watch your stream? Russell, how are you watching? Because I think there's 2 different ways. I think. I know of one way for sure, but it depends on how you're doing it. Die! Man!
Long past time I was called.
Kylo Ren sounds like someone who's been waiting for a woman to call him back, and now he's all pissed off, and he's like, you know, hey, baby, why didn't you call me back sooner? It's long past time I was called. Like, shut up. Uh-oh. Red symbol. Somebody's outside. It's probably Kylo. Oh, now he's inside, I think. Oh, there he is. Mother... It should be going primarily through YouTube, but I think... I'm not sure, but I think that if you're on PSN, you can also watch a stream through the PS4, but I'm not sure if you'll be able to make comments that show up in the chat. I'm not 100% sure. YouTube is the primary outlet for streaming that I'm using. That's actually why I don't stream on Xbox One at all, because I don't want to have to go in the roundabout way through Twitch and then have to also then like re-upload to YouTube or trends, whatever the hell it is. Whatever it is that lets you put them on YouTube without actually having to download and re-upload. You can always watch on YouTube via computer. That might work better. Oh! Oh, mother! Oh, well. If I had bothered to move quickly, I could have been Yoda or I could have been Chewbacca. Let's see.
Look who showed up.
Extra, pretty sure you said something a second ago I didn't get a chance to respond to, so you might want to repeat it if you like.
Explosive detected.
Yeah, a nice cleaned up version of Republic Commando would be pretty cool, but I mean, it wouldn't be able to be that Republic Commando probably because it'd be Legends, and then everybody'd be bitching. Ah!
Support fire ready.
What are you looking at? I know what I'm doing.
All right, it's over. 0.
The enemy is retreating.
Picard versus Kylo Ren. Kylo wins the fight because Picard's not much of a fighter and Kylo would just kill him. I would say the other way around. I think that there are other things, and those comments just came by, and like I know that I just missed at least one that was showing up right before what Nathan's saying now. I think it's the opposite. It's that the Inferno Squad novel has a Stover effect on this. Having read Shattered Empire has a Stover effect on this. And there goes more questions that I didn't get a chance to actually read. So, again, might need to do it. Q versus Kylo Ren, Q, because Q could take care of Kylo Ren by doing this. And then it's over. You'd have to do something to, like, give Picard... If it's like in a video game or something, you have to give Picard some way to actually do some damage. Like, maybe he has, like, a thermal detonator and he pulls it and it's got, like, 4 different red diodes on it that are counting down, like, 4, 3, 2, 1. He'll be like, there are 4 lights! Woo! 3 lights! 2 lights! 1 light! Boom, bitch! Or something like that. But I can't see Picard saying boom, bitch. Although, wouldn't that be awesome to hear Picard say boom, bitch? How likely was it we get through the lifetime of this game without Anakin or Obi-Wan? I doubt it. I'm sure. I would imagine we'll probably get them at some point. Though the question then becomes, like, voiced by whom? Will it be Matt Lanter and James Arnold Taylor, or somebody else? Q versus Q's hotter wife Q. I don't remember a female Q, so I guess I haven't gotten there yet. What if there's a Star Wars game where you're a clone trooper and you're with a team of clone troopers, and the game has a Halo Reach type feel? I think that would be fun, kind of the heroic sacrifice kind of thing. Actually, Halo Reach, by the way, so I played Halo 1 and 2 back in the Xbox days and remembered almost nothing about them. And what got me to buy my Xbox One, or my original Xbox One, the one I just sold actually to Mark, because I've replaced it with an Xbox One S to watch the 4K movies, What got me to buy that in the first place was the Halo Master Chief Collection, because I wanted to play it all and then play the new stuff. And I actually started with Reach, because I played in chronological order, except for the Wars games. And I actually really dug Reach, probably more than any of the Master Chief stuff, you know? Because I tended to care about those characters much more than I cared about Master Chief. Like, when Master Chief is the head of all of your games, pretty much, and you care more about Cortana and about the side characters in Reach than you ever do about Master Chief, there's something wrong with your storytelling. Alright, James, take it easy.
Roger, roger.
Super Gil versus Kylo Ren, that works under the assumption that I would know what a Super Gil is, so I have no idea what that is. Unless you're saying Super Girl. If you're saying Super Girl versus Kylo Ren, I think Supergirl wins because Kylo Ren stops to ask her what conditioner she uses in her hair so he can use it in his own, and then he gets killed. Or at least gets defeated.
Activities at checkpoint 1. Proceeding toward the cruiser.
Overgirl? Or is that Power Girl official? You can actually do Power Girl versus Supergirl playing Injustice because you can use the Power Girl skin for Supergirl. And they got a different voice actress to do the character in the game. That's one of those games that I bought the Ultimate Edition of, played through enough to get tired of it, to the point where now there are still new DLC characters coming out that I'm entitled to through the Ultimate Edition, but I have long since already deleted it.
Roger, roger.
Basically making me part of the problem for the reason why season passes existed in the first place. The idea of people picking up early DLC but not later DLC. So if you charge them up front for it, even if they don't play the later DLC, they will already have paid, so the money is there. You know, back when people didn't think it was immoral to have a season pass, but then started bitching about microtransactions immediately thereafter. I mean, you couldn't do it, you couldn't sell it, but, you know, fan projects like that can be done. They're just difficult. I actually, speaking of Star Wars and programming, I really need to pick up Scratch, that free program, because I've got that, Scratch Basics of Coding book that they did recently for Star Wars that really intrigued me. I just haven't had time to sit down and mess with it. Oh, that's what you mean. I haven't seen them, so my wife, on Tuesdays, does sort of a, team building thing with her coworkers. That's what she just texted me about. So I will say, be careful, period. Have a good time, period. Gotta love voice recognition. But they go out on Thursdays usually for like a, you know, kind of getting to know you kind of thing and just kind of keeping them on cordial terms and all, which is actually kind of a smart idea. But because of that, since we watch everything on the CW app for the Arrowverse stuff, we cut the cord long ago. What winds up happening for this crossover is that she won't get home until fairly late, so we won't wind up watching the parts from last night tonight, but we could. And then, of course, tomorrow the parts from tonight will be up, so probably on Wednesday we'll just watch the entire crossover straight through, sometime Wednesday evening. But otherwise, I won't see any of that until then. Same thing with, like, Rebels. Like, I get Rebels off of iTunes, which means I see new episodes of Rebels the day after they air. Extra, you could not do that. If you asked permission to make a Star Wars game, they would tell you no. Because you would not be an official license holder. You would have to work for... It's the same thing as, like, you know, if you want to write a Star Wars comic, you can't just get permission, hey, I want to write a Star Wars comic. They would say no. Because they have to protect their copyright in that sense. But if you make a fan project Star Wars comic that's not actually released for sale and it's just kind of freely available on a website, like a fan film or something like that, no big deal. But they don't have the ability to actually give, like, a yes. Technically. I find it interesting they call it Earth X because it immediately reminds me of the Earth X, Universe X, Paradise X stuff from Marvel. I wonder if they realized they were using a term that had been used before. But then again, they probably have used it prior to even Marvel using it. Maybe DC already had an Earth X beforehand. A Star Wars game that's really, really dark. I mean, to some degree, The Force Awakens was pretty dark. Or not Force Awakens. Duh! Force Unleashed was pretty dark.
My ally is full.
Oliver Queen versus Kylo Ren.
Uh-oh, a new enemy has landed.
I think Kylo Ren would probably do like I do and gripe about how 4 seasons in, Oliver Queen still can't read the opening narration correctly, and put emphasis on thing instead of some in something. And in the process of bitching about that, Oliver would probably put an arrow through his head. Richard, do I collect Star Wars coffee table books and I recommend any must-haves? Depends on what you mean by a coffee table book. Like, I pick up the stuff that actually has story or continuity content. So I guess a coffee table book in that sense would be something like On the Front Lines. But I don't pick up stuff like, you know, art of this movie kind of coffee table books, that kind of thing. Hello, EK. Missed the question about Project Resurrection. Might need to ask that again. Hello, John. Force Unleashed. We'll see. Well, I'll complain that Force Unleashed didn't get a third game because they didn't finish out the story. I mean, if you read if you play the second game, it kind of ends on a cliffhanger that's never resolved. They just say, oh yeah, Darth Vader escaped somehow, it's cool. And Starkiller just kind of disappeared somehow, it's cool. Don't worry about it. Don't think too much about it. Like, they kind of needed to finish that friggin' story. It's kind of a bit of a loose end. Helps that it was also my favorite Star Wars game at the time. I say at the time as if it's not still, but we'll see. Let's see. Almost there to be able to play as, you know, somebody. As I'm slowly working out kills to get... I need to go back to using my turret thing, that sentry gun. I keep using my regular gun, but that's not going to really do me as good as far as the milestones go. Do I think Barry's going to disappear at the end of the season? Not sure what you mean. Or, wait, I'm assuming that's disappear. Why would he disappear? Not quite sure what you mean. What if Alien and Star Wars crossed over? Oh God, please no. I get tired of the random crossover stuff from like back in the day where it was like, we're gonna cross over X-Men and Star Trek because that makes any sense at all. Again, if I miss your question because it's zipping by very quickly, then feel free to just copy paste ask it again. But hopefully don't do it again after I've answered it. Interesting. I've not seen any attacks for live streaming it, but at the same time, I'm also fairly consistent in calling out both the positive and the ridiculous aspects of the game. So, beats me. But yeah, I haven't seen anything like that yet. That would have been a good time to use a sentry gun. Let's see. Whoa! Oh, Flash disappearing in 2020. We still got a couple years before that. Theories on what Project Resurrection might be. Oh, you mean for the DLC? Hard to say, although wouldn't it be screwy if it was sort of a version of what happened in the original Empire's End, and it's basically trying to bring back, or not Empire's End, Dark Empire / Empire's End, trying to bring back Palpatine or something, or it's just maybe trying to, or Resurrection refers to bringing back the Empire in the form of the First Order. But I'm hoping that from a story standpoint, this is going to give us filling in the gap between the last 2 chapters of Battlefront 2's story campaign. Hopefully. We shall see. Did the original Battlefront 2 have a campaign? Yes, unless you played it on PSP, in which case the campaign was removed for space considerations. It was basically a 501st going from mission to mission kind of story. Which is pretty good. It kind of bounced around the continuity, bounced around locations, though. I haven't seen it. And if people would start acting like douchebags, that's what the block button's for. Do I think Barry's going to marry Iris? I would assume so, because we got the Iris West Allen thing for the future already. Will they ever release the unaltered versions on Blu-ray? I've answered this question a lot. They would have to recreate them. So one, they would have to recreate them because the original version, the original master doesn't exist anymore. They could, They could do like what Harmy did with the despecialized editions and such, and sort of just take good sources and work on cleaning them up and all that kind of stuff, in theory. Right now, the trick comes down to the distribution rights, because even if Lucasfilm wanted to do it, and they don't, they've said they don't, because they consider it changing, because it'd be recreating. And even if Disney was willing to do it, right now the rights to episodes 1, 2... Well, right now the rights to physical distribution for episodes 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 lie with 20th Century Fox until 2020, but not the digital rights, whereas the rights to all distribution for A New Hope forever rest with 20th Century Fox, unless they were to make a deal with Disney and basically sell those rights back to them. So you're in a position where it'd be a question of who could do it, what party would be involved, and what legal control, if any, do they actually have over the product that they produce. Let's see. What do I think of their wedding? What do I think of... You're talking about Barry and Iris. I have no idea, because if it's been shown, I haven't seen that episode yet. What was I like when Carrie Fisher died? Kind of saddened, but not at all surprised. Because of just all the stuff she's gone through. I was kind of surprised that she was still around to begin with. They should use Harmy. They can't. Again, essentially a fan project created outside of the bounds of legalities, so they couldn't essentially endorse it by using it. Use the laser to set and clean it up. Be a heck of a cleanup job they would have to do. I don't know that because of the way that master is, I don't know it'd be high enough resolution. So even upscaling wouldn't probably do quite as much as they would need to do. Is Del serious when he when he said to Haas that he used to be dead? I think that was just Haas being a jackass. Like, you thought you shot me down, but you didn't. Na 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 na. Hask strikes me as the kind of guy who's all business right up until the point where he looks at you in the face and goes, na 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 na. Hello, Lego fan. Was I a Robin Williams fan? Yep. That took me a second to figure out what you were saying, Renee. Or Ronnie. Is it Ronnie or Renee? No, you can't get in the prone position in this game. Closest thing you can do it here. I'll switch to third person. You can duck, but there's no further position than that. It's just ducking. It's essentially the game. I mean, the game mechanics are different, but the game engine is still Frostbite 3, 4, whatever it was that they used for the original game, which doesn't have that as one of its typical features. So, like, if you want to be a sniper, you could get behind something that's low, but you couldn't actually get on the ground to be prone from, like, an overhead angle or anything, which kind of sucks, but I mean, this game plays in a much more frenetic way, a faster-paced way a lot of times than would tend to lend itself to that kind of sniper play anyway. Did I know that Carrie Fisher was on crack when she died? No. Has that been confirmed? Did I see the Family Guy Robin Williams episode? Nope, because I don't tend to watch Family Guy, because aside from the Star Wars specials, which were bad enough as it is, I tend to find it kind of, yeah. I'm actually very surprised that I like Orville, because if I was just going based on Family Guy, I would have avoided all Seth MacFarlane stuff forever. Is it worth buying? How is Conquest Mode? Conquest Mode doesn't exist, so that answers that question. I found it worthwhile. I'm getting a lot of fun out of it, but it kind of depends on how much you're going to play multiplayer, whether you're going to stream it, how much you really want to see a new Star Wars story, even if it's a fairly short one. Don't buy it based on the advertising for the campaign, though, that says that it's all this from the Empire's perspective thing, and it's going to bridge the gap between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens and give us all this First Order background stuff, because that is a load of bullshit. Only about the first third of the game is actually from the Imperial point of view. Then it becomes pretty much exactly the type of story you would expect it to be. And it only really covers from Return of the Jedi through the Battle of Jakku, and then jumps forward in time for just the last chapter that takes place right before The Force Awakens. Otherwise, it's all within that first year after Return of the Jedi, so it's not what they advertised. Good, but not what they advertised. Let's see. Could they have saved Carrie Fisher if they tried harder? I mean, unless we're talking about tried harder as in, like, interventions early on for some of the stuff that she went through, or some stuff she put her body through, maybe, but otherwise, no. Opinion on the prequels, I mean, flawed but enjoyable. Colored in a lot of ways by expectation versus reality, and by the fact that many of the people most vocally critical about them, many of the people who are most vocally critical at the time, are people from sort of a different generation of fans, because there are fans for whom the prequels were the first Star Wars they ever saw who absolutely adore them. Do I think Harrison Ford is glad to be done with Star Wars? Yep. It seems like he was able to have fun this time, primarily because he knew it was the last time. Can I imagine making a Star Wars funny video? Are you saying my videos that have to do with Star Wars right now aren't funny? Is Disney still required to follow Lucas's wishes on the Star Wars films? No. So basically the gist of it is that, I mean, Lucas now is basically a fan. If you are really interested in that, look on my channel, search for a video called, it's a vlog episode. I think Intellectual Honesty is in the title. But it goes into basically what the whole kerfuffle, so to speak, whenever Samuel L. Jackson was out there saying, Mace Windu's alive, I say so, and Lucas thinks it's a cool idea. And people are like, oh my god, he's alive, even though Lucas has nothing to do with it anymore. Lucas at this point has zero influence on at least zero official influence on anything related to Star Wars. They don't have to ask his permission or his opinion on a damn thing. But what you have, though, is that you have people who are with, wow, I'm already at 10,000. I should probably, okay. I'll be Vader. What you find is that the people who tend to be heading up the different projects for Lucasfilm, like, say, a Dave Filoni or Kathleen Kennedy, these are people who were close to George Lucas, who have a great respect for him, and who are essentially still, in some ways, following his wishes to some degree. Like, part of their reason for saying they're not going to put out an unaltered trilogy is because they want to respect his wishes and not essentially do something that would not fit what he would have wanted. Because he preferred his version to be the version, like his newest version. Die! That said, that does mean that over time, that now Disney can supersede that. If there's something Disney orders Lucasfilm to do, they have to do it. But I would also say at the same time that it also means that we probably won't see any changes, like, say, hey, maybe a release of the holiday special that Lucas didn't want to see released, until the leadership of Lucasfilm changes enough that the people who are in charge are not people who are directly associated with Lucas, who would have that personal loyalty to his legacy. Once you do that, yeah, maybe. Basically a parody. I'm not really a parody guy. Like, I'll make my stupid jokes, but I don't see myself being able to do a parody. I'm not sure that my brain is wired enough for that. Wired in that sort of way. I think more in terms of satire than parody, and from a video production standpoint, I just don't have the talent capacity. It's just video creation is not so much my thing, so much as you've seen, more of the vlog style.
Sentry guns online.
Die, 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 my darling. Again, I'm going to have to find that song because I know I've got it somewhere on my many, many, many CDs that used to be in my collection that have now been ripped to a external hard drive that are just like sitting in a garage or something somewhere. That is cool. Yeah, it's nice because in Sinchus, he's a fan now, you know? And he's able to actually enjoy it as a fan, which is something that, and again, that's another thing that's quoted in the afterword that I did for that new book, that A More Civilized Age book, is that when he was interviewed by Oprah, he expressed sort of a remorse almost that he never got a chance to enjoy Star Wars as a fan. He was always as a creator, so he couldn't look at it the way that we did, and now he can. How do I feel about the Han Solo movie? Absolutely numb. I could give a crap. Or,
New ally landing.
I'm not sure that I could care less about the Han Solo movie. It doesn't interest me. I'm hoping that once we get some trailers for it, it will start to interest me. But right now, I'm just like, who gives a crap? I wasn't interested originally. I'm not really interested now. Do I actually watch the Harmy's version of the special edition? It depends, EK. As I said in the video actually released today about the despecialized editions that I did for From the Star Wars Home Video Library, I just now, very recently, got physical copies on Blu-ray instead of just digital copies on the computer of Empire and Jedi's despecialized editions. I'll probably watch those more often now, but usually, I mean, like, I haven't really picked up a Star Wars film aside from the newer ones to watch in probably a few months to just pop in and watch. So usually I've tended to go towards the Blu-ray version because they're the better picture and sound quality. We'll have to see how that changes now that I've got Blu-ray versions of, or Blu-ray burned copies of the despecialized editions that I can watch somewhere other than the computer. Does it have cats in it? I don't know what he's saying. So it must have been referring to just something Ray said. Thoughts on the new Spider-Man movie? Are you talking about Homecoming? Because if you're talking about Homecoming, I really enjoyed it. If you're talking about something beyond that, I know zip. Although I still wonder how Sony is going to do a Spider-Verse without, you know, Spider-Man. It's not even that I don't want to know everything about Han Solo. It's just I feel like this is the movie we're making. And like, I have a very hard time seeing the guy that has been cast as Han Solo, so that's kind of a tough thing for me. All right, so I'm working my way there. These are the ones I'm working on right now, by the way, the ones I'm focused on. I want to get the night vision for the FWMB. I want to knock out the Defender so I can switch the card out, and I want to knock out the Sentry Gun thing to get the Sentry Crate. And that one will just be kind of a bonus along the way, basically. I want to, yeah. And I've already done the Heavy Attacker. That's why I've been playing as Heavy every time to get those milestones out of the way. Let's see. Do I think Andrew Garfield could come back to Spider-Man? No, I think that ship has sailed. Especially now that they've already got a new guy playing Spider-Man who's pretty good. Now, could he come back into Spider-Man movie and do like a cameo? Okay, here we go again. It's not letting me choose anything. I have to go to the equip weapon screen and come back out, and then I can choose a class. I've been getting that bug a lot the last couple days. Have I seen the Andy Wan revisited versions of Star Wars? I've seen his version of A New Hope, but it's been quite a while ago. I think I've still got a copy of it somewhere on one of my drives. Don't know. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man versus Kylo Ren. I actually think that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Kylo Ren would not actually fight. They would sit down and go all emo about their problems, and he would whine about what's her name? The girl in his films, Gwen, and Kylo would be all whiny about how he likes Rey and just doesn't know how to express it and shit, and they would just sit around like being all emo together. There would be no fight.
Surviving personnel. Not where we plan to end up, but we're here now. We're gonna fight our way off the Death Star. We'll need a fresh ship and the opportunity.
I like this map, but I also don't like this map. It's like I like the map because I like the concept of it, and the fact that it sort of takes the idea of Death Star maps we had in the first one and turns it on its head with the ship. But I wish there was more stuff that we could actually do on the crashed Rebel ship. Because a crashed Rebel ship makes an awesome starting point to come out of at the beginning of the match, but then they don't really do anything with it. I mean, thematically, yeah, it's to try to give them a chance to escape, but I mean, let us fight on those hallways. That'd be friggin' awesome. Oh, and I died. I'm not used to playing this map in first person. 6 battle points. Only 1,000 times that, and I'll be able to get the cheapest hero.
Let's take him.
What do I think of the Venom movie? I haven't heard much about it, but I wonder how they're going to do it with no Spider-Man. And what kind of background they're going to give to the character, and why he looks the way he does, if it's not because of a black Spider-Man suit.
Shut down tractor control.
Michael Keaton's Batman versus Kylo Ren. Yeah, I go back to the whole Kylo Ren would probably just freeze him and cut him apart. Although I would love to see Kylo Ren's reaction to, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Lego fan, feel free. Yeah, if you are someone... Okay, so if you are someone who is a friend of mine on PSN, you are welcome to jump into the match. Just don't send me an invitation, because if you send me an invitation, I'm not going to be able to get it during the middle of the game. In general, I need to know you a little bit before I will add you to friends. I'm actually in the process of pruning my friends list right now of people I don't actually know, or just people who've watched the streams that I've never really talked to. Because PS4 now allows you to follow people rather than having to be friends on PSN to still be notified of streams and such. So, just so you know. But Lego Fan's been someone who's been on a while, but he's been removed a couple times because he sent me a bunch of invites in the middle of doing streams. So just make sure you're using the join on and we'll be good. But that was a long time ago. That was like back in the Battlefield or Battlefront 1 era. Christian Bale's Batman versus Kylo Ren. Again, probably freezes him and kills him. Actually, he probably freezes him, offers him a throat lozenge because of how his throat sounds, and then kills him. Because, you know, Kylo Ren's gonna be all, like, nice. He's a sensitive man. Don't you know?
Generator shutting down. Come on, come on.
Watch your back. Move in.
Ah! Go back. Nope. I was trying to roll into the other...
Repowering the generator.
roll back into the room, except you can't roll when you've got the thing out. It doesn't hard cancel your sentry gun thing. Do I prefer first person or third person? I generally prefer third person, actually. What I've found, though, is that it seems as though, for me at least, the time to shoot, I find it easier to aim and shoot in first person when I'm going for distance than doing it third person where it then zooms in just a little bit. So like when I was playing, when I was doing a bunch of specialist milestones and stuff like that, I tended to do first person. And now that I'm doing this and I'm trying to get specifically focusing on kills, I'm doing first person. But usually I do third most of the time. Venom versus Kylo Ren. They probably sit around together and compliment each other's black clothing. Arlnauts Star Wars parody videos. I'm not sure what that is. So, no. Goku versus Kylo Ren, couldn't say because I don't watch Dragon Ball Z. But I will assume it's probably another of those, he'll just freeze him and kill him things, which is my default answer for Kylo Ren most of the time. Do I collect anything else aside from the Star Wars franchise? There he is. Not under the same name, but there he is. Oh, we're the ones who got to override, so why don't I just walk up and try to override? Frickin' derp.
Starting shutdown.
I forgot which side I was on, because I'm in first person, so I can't tell. Besides Star Wars, I mean, there's Blu-rays and stuff like that where I've got sets of them, but it's not really collecting so much as I just want to have them to be able to watch them. I do collect all of the Ascension DC deck building game and DC deck building game stuff, the Harry Dresden Files cooperative card game stuff. And I say collect because in those cases I try to get all the promo cards too. But again, that's more because I like to play them, and my wife and I like to play them more so than thinking of it as a collection per se. It just kind of depends. Hey, George. Haven't seen you in a while, at least not on a stream or anything like that. Yeah, but look at it this way: give it a few months, and you'll be, and with everything, with all the craziness that's been going on with EA and all the controversies, you'll be able to get it for a steal. Midnight release of Last Jedi, we're doing a 9:30 p.m. on the 14th. You're shit. Well, you're apparently missing the point of what these streams are then, because you missed the title of it and you missed the initial intro on what exactly it is. Because the point isn't so much the gameplay so much as it is the discussion. The gameplay is more of just a background thing. So more of it's about actually reading and following the comments, which means you're not really paying entire attention to the game. But, unless you just missed the word "the" in there somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, I much prefer the third person, though, when it comes to the... Alright, 5 more with the Sentry, and at least I've got that one. I'm tired of playing as Heavy. Heavy's what I started playing with, and I moved to the other classes to get some of their milestones done. And now I'm back to Heavy getting those milestones, and I'm just like... A Finn-Poe relationship? Maybe. I don't know. I think that there's... I don't think it matters. You know what I mean? Like, if they do a Finn-Poe relationship, fine. Do a Finn-Poe relationship, but make it something that's organic to the story, you know? Like, don't just have it be, hey, look, they're gay over here, and we're adding a scene just to emphasize that they're gay, but it has no influence on anything else. If they're going to be a gay couple, there needs to be some type of story aspect to it where it's like, you know, maybe Poe's life is in desperate danger, and Finn jumps into battle with less reservations than he otherwise might because of how he feels, or something like that. Make it something where there is some story payoff to it, as opposed to it just being, here, we're going to add this character feature just because we're going for the diversity angle. Diversity is important, being able to have everybody able to see themselves in Star Wars and see themselves the way that society tends to divide us and the way we tend to divide ourselves. Also means it's also the way that we define a lot of times the way we see ourselves in other media like Star Wars. But just doing it and not having any payoff for it, like say Chuck Winter just deciding Akmina, the bartender from the holiday special, happens to be gay, doesn't wind up having any payoff for anything. There needs to be some type of, you know, meaning to the way they're doing it. Just like, you know, if you get a heterosexual character, okay, don't just have a little side thing that emphasizes that has no story payoff. Otherwise, you're wasting pacing in the film for that kind of thing. What if Cthulhu was in Star Wars? I have no idea because I know nothing about the Cthulhu mythos whatsoever. Could not tell you. Stick your damn head back out here again. What was that? Hype for Phantom Menace was enormous. I mean, the hype for Phantom Menace was the largest hype for anything Star Wars related that I have ever seen. And I was in, I was in college at the time. Actually, I was a freshman in college that year. It came out right after my freshman year ended. And you'd had 2 years before, you'd have the build-up of the special editions. I noticed that. Same squad over here. You'd had the build-up of the special editions. And, you know, me and that was, like, my mom and my dad, they would not have wanted me to cut class for anything. And I was sort of that overachiever who didn't, you know, cutting class was just not my thing anyway, because I want my education and all that. But damn it, when it came, after having almost perfect attendance or perfect attendance, when it came to Star Wars being in theaters, my mom was more than willing to call in sick for me so that me and a friend of mine could go to the opening day each time. And I had such high standing with the administrators of the school that they were just like, yeah, we know you're not actually sick, but you haven't been absent and you're rocking all your classes. We have no problem with it. Have fun. You know what I mean? Kind of a we can't officially say this, but I hope you enjoy the movie. It's sort of their thing. So you had like a 2-year hype building up for the prequels because of the special editions. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of like building up the hype for it's really even hard to make the comparison because you don't have like this dead period. But it was kind of a big thing. Lots of media coverage of it. Lots of deconstruction of the trailers to figure out what it was. Lots of speculation, especially when you had just an era of general character descriptions like Qui-Gon as a venerable Jedi. Everybody called him the venerable Jedi. I can even remember... So that was... a couple years after I started working on the Star Wars Timeline Gold, which at the time we just called the Star Wars Timeline 1.0, then 1.1 or whatever, before years later getting that gold title. But when I started actually distributing that timeline through email, it was through a Star Wars little AOL group that I was a part of, that a buddy of mine and I, who actually went to the special editions with me, ran. And we had a little newsletter that we put out, and I remember going through and getting screenshots of every different shot out of the original trailers for Phantom Menace. And in that newsletter, it was shot description. Here's what we think is happening. kind of like you see these days, except usually it's in video form. But I mean, the hype was just ridiculous. The problem was that the hype levels got so high that nothing would ever be able to match that level of expectation and hope. So when the film had kind of, I would say, obvious flaws, but when the film was not perfection, then you had a huge explosion to go with it, you know? And remember, this is like the early days of internet fandom. So it's not like there was all kinds of, you know, social media type things to have the hype grow or to have the criticism grow. It was all, at that time, sort of forums on AOL and stuff like that. News groups like RASM, rec.arts.sci-fi.starwars.miscellaneous. My God, I can't remember. I can't believe I remembered that name. And stuff like that, you know. This is a whole different universe almost. And yeah, Star Wars films extra. Usually they were in May. They were pretty much always in May. But then they changed that for Force Awakens, and it just kind of has spiraled since there. JL asks, "Have I watched People vs. George Lucas?" Yes, I don't remember much about it, but I've actually got it on iTunes. But I need to watch it again actually at some point. And Prequel Strike Back I need to watch at some point, which I haven't had a chance to yet. Have I seen Spaceballs? Oh, extra. Oh, extra, you should check the channel out. Because in my video series called From the Star Wars Home Video Library, I've started to move into parodies that were given the thumbs up for adding stuff to my, as far as adding stuff to my collection and covering it on the show. Just did numerous episodes specifically about Spaceballs because I, in the last year or the last about 3 or 4 months, have purchased all 30 plus different home video releases of Spaceballs. Favorite Star Wars parody, but my God, there are way too many reissues of the same stuff for Spaceballs. That was the whole point of People vs. George Lucas, though, was to sort of bring all the critiques of Lucas without a lot of the defense of Lucas. I like, there is a book, tell you what, between the next matches, I'll run and grab this book from the other room. I think it's called Star Wars on Trial, which is a really good sort of a critical take on Star Wars that tends to lean, it treats it almost like a, like you would see in like court, like here's the charge, now what's the defense, or here's the charge, what's the prosecution. So if I remember correctly, each individual criticism is worded like a charge, and then you have one person writing an essay that is supporting the charge and one that's in defense of it. Or in defense against it. And it's a pretty good book. Not nearly as good as that Sequard anthology series that I've contributed to those 3 times, but still, you know, pretty good. How many clone troopers do I know of that didn't obey Order 66?
I'm ready to go.
I mean, we've got our 3, right, that we see in Rebels now, but I don't know that there's been many officially listed in canon or in story group canon now. You want to buy my book? Where can I find it? So, so my book, the one that's all me, that came out in May, is A Saga on Home Video, a fan's guide to U.S. Star Wars home video releases. That is available on Amazon. And then the ones that I've contributed to in the last few years, the one that had the newest one come out this week, they're called A Long Time Ago, Exploring the Star Wars Cinematic Universe. That's where I have an essay about the first season of Rebels. A Galaxy Far, Far Away, Exploring Star Wars Comics, where I have an article about the Marvel Comics back in the 70s and 80s up through from the beginning to about The Empire Strikes Back. And then the newest one is A More Civilized Age, Exploring the Star Wars Expanded Universe, in which I have the afterword. I had the honor of having the afterword of the book series, Opposite of Forward by Timothy Zahn, which is pretty cool. And if you're looking for like my old Star Wars comic, that's really difficult to find at this point, except for like eBay or something, because it was published under Dark Horse and they don't have the license anymore. Did I see the Cinema Sin videos for the Star Wars movies? Yes. I need to actually go watch them again. It's been a while. Do I watch Star Wars HQ? No. Not quite sure what that is. Unless that's just a YouTube channel or something. It sounds familiar, but I don't watch anything regularly that has to do with that. What do the next few episodes of Beyond the Films have in store? That's, for those who don't know, he's talking about Star Wars Beyond the Films, which is a podcast I host with Mark Hurleman on StarWarsReport.com. They deal with Star Wars novels, comics, canon, legends, a little bit of everything. So the newest episode that just came out is about, it's the first of our coverage on Darth Vader's Shadows and Secrets. So the next episode is the back half of that, and then the next ones after that are either going to be our year in review starting, or it's going to be a two-part coverage of Showdown on the Smuggler's Moon from the current Marvel Star Wars series, and then it'll be our year in review. It just kind of depends on what time we think we're going to get that second part of Shadows and Secrets out, because we have to have 2 out each month through the end of December, because that's part of a contract with Topps for that sponsorship thing.
They're switching off the turbo lasers.
Let's see. Robot Chicken, do I remember? Of course, Gary. Gary's awesome, and Gary brought his kid to work, and that didn't go so well. Thank you very much, Russell. Do you listen to Cloud City Casino also, and did you listen to any of my previous podcasts before Beyond the Films? Just curious. Some of that stuff. Fall back! The floor is lava. See, don't you see it on the map? The floor is lava. Run! Awesome, EK.
They've done their damage. Now they're trying to escape.
Run!
Take position.
Does Earth exist in Star Wars? Depends on your way of looking at it. Okay? It's a galaxy far, far away. By definition, that should mean that Earth is somewhere, but it's in a different galaxy that is far, far away. But you wouldn't have it referred to as a galaxy far, far away, relative to Earth, if the assumption was that there wasn't an Earth around, perhaps somewhere. There was a time when they were meaning to actually tie in some of the alien species and such in Star Wars and the humans into a book series called the Alien Chronicles. But they wound up deciding not to do that and just made Alien Chronicles kind of its own thing. So we don't actually have that kind of connection. Now, if you look in some of the Infinity stuff, the non-canonical stuff, and the even non-legend stuff, the in-canon stuff, you'll run into stories like Into the Great Unknown, I think that's what it was called, which was a story that had Chewbacca and Han Solo crashing the Millennium Falcon on Earth after going through an anomaly of some kind, and having the Han Solo's remains being found by Indiana Jones, and Chewbacca being the origin of the Bigfoot myth. So in that type of continuity, yes, there's that connection, but otherwise, I mean, they don't really do anything with it. Cool. I need to get better with Cloud City Casino of, letting Michael talk, because I tend to go up on rips. He tends to be very short sometimes in the way that he responds to things, so I feel like I need to fill the air sometimes, but I wind up probably talking too much, and it winds up being kind of imbalanced. I got to get that under control, or just give him like a manual mute button. Just say, okay, Nate, you talk too much. Shut up. Click. Run!
Hangar controls in rebel hands.
I mean, I really dig the Robot Chicken stuff. I'm not sure if Gary's my favorite. I'm personally, I like their portrayal of Boba Fett. Yeah, big bad Boba Fett. Because it really is kind of the way that people looked at Fett for the longest time. Like, oh my god, he's so cool because of his armor. What did he do? He didn't actually capture Han because Lando basically did that for him, and then he got his ass knocked into the Sarlacc. The end. He never really did anything aside from looking cool, to at least in the films, to really justify the coolness factor. Legends certainly made him out to be much more of a dynamic character. Now you get a little bit of that in story group canon as well. But in a lot of ways, he was kind of like Darth Maul until Clone Wars came around, which didn't really do a whole hell of a lot, and yet got a lot of props for being awesome just because of the way he looked. What I like, they made a Star Wars movie that takes place now on Earth in today's standards.
Rebels activating the shuttle elevator.
I would like to see Star Wars characters arrive on Earth and see some of the political shit that's going on right now, and be the ones out there going like, oh my god, we can't this culture is too screwed up, we have to get the hell out of here. Something along those lines, They're just like this makes no sense to us. None of this stuff makes any sense to us. Like, Lando shows up and goes, hello, what have we here? And they're like, oh, I see, so because you're a black man, you're supposed to be all suave? That's racist. And he's like, what the hell did I do? I was just being myself. And, you know, and then they get run off the planet. I guess I'm much more for the satire than otherwise. How do I feel Trump? I don't, because I don't like cooties. Do people even say cooties? Do kids even say cooties anymore? Okay, so almost there. Almost, well, not even remotely almost there. 4 more kills with the sentry gun will get me the crate. Okay, we'll just keep going with heavy, I guess, then. Yeah, Lando from Robot Chicken, and the fact that they got Billy D. Williams to do the voice is freaking awesome. The fact that they got Billy D. Williams to do the voice for this is awesome. The fact that they don't have Billy D. Williams as Lando in Episode 8 is a freaking travesty. Because I want to know what happens to Lando. I mean, Lando could be dead for all we know. You know? Do I like Five Nights at Freddy's? Actually, I haven't played it. I got some friends who swear by it, who love it, but I've never played it. How do I actually feel about Trump? I think that it's interesting because I tend to be very libertarian on many things. So there are things I agree with that the Republicans want. There are things I agree with that the Democrats want. So there were some things that he talked about wanting during the campaign that I would have agreed with. Like, as an economics teacher, some of his tax proposals, but not all, make sense. Some of them are nuts because it's not going to work the way that he's talking about, just from a basic economic standpoint. So I'm kind of wishy-washy. I think him as a person, he's reprehensible, but him, and the guy can't stick to a fact to save his life. Because now, I mean, now he's, you know, back during the campaign, it was, you know, that whole, that video, the recording of me on the bus with Billy Bush when I talked about grabbing him by the hoo-ha. Well, that was me, and I'm sorry, and it's okay. I apologize, or I apologize, as Saturday Night Live would have put it, only for now to him say, it was all doctored, that wasn't actually me. Dude, you fucking said it was you! Pick a story! But at the same time, I think that he is, from an American political perspective, incredibly important in that it shows just how far our politics has devolved over the years, how hyper-partisan it has become, and it actually gets us to think about things from a constitutional standpoint that we usually don't, things like the Emoluments Clause. There's a great podcast called What Trump Can Teach Us About Con Law that is a fantastic series that basically looks at current events and things that he does and says and puts them into a constitutional perspective and teaches about the Constitution. And as someone who's really into that sort of stuff, as a teacher of history and government and politics and stuff like that, that I think is great. You know? I also think it's interesting that between 8 years of Obama and now almost a full year of Trump, and then we have a few years still going of Trump, it's interesting that they basically managed to scientifically prove that time travel can't possibly exist because somebody would have come back and saved us by now for the last 10 years or so. So, you know, kind of cool to see that time travel has been debunked. Where are you at? Where'd it go? Yeah, and I think part of it though is that I think there's a difference between speaking your mind and being fair. Actually, talking to Russell here, I think there's a difference between speaking your mind and being fair, and trying to look at both sides and take kind of the intellectually honest approach, and what a lot of other podcasters sometimes do, where it's basically my way or the highway, my opinion dominates. You can't have an opinion that differs, or they're saying things just to be provocateurs, or they're saying stuff that is outright offensive without any kind of backup to it. That kind of stuff, you know? Like, that kind of thing I don't think serves much of a logical purpose. But to me, it just as a natural thing. I actually started podcasting right before I started teaching. I started teaching professionally. I got my first teaching job and started teaching in August of 2002. And I started doing podcasting in May of 2002. And my thing has always been that just like in teaching, I can give my opinion. Okay, so on the podcast, I will give my opinion, but I want to give you enough information to try to make up your own mind on what you think about something, so I'll try to give you all the perspectives. Whereas in teaching, I keep my opinion out of it, but do the same thing. It's all about, you know, giving the students, you know, like, give them the economic understanding they need to understand basic economics, and then let them decide what they believe, what they understand, what they choose to side with in politics. I mean, a student should not be deciding their political views or their religious views or anything like that because of their teacher. We should get them to think critically so they can decide for themselves, you know? And that's just my kind of thing. But I've been at it long enough, and I think I've built up enough credibility over the years, hopefully, that I feel like you should speak your mind. You know, that I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to the listeners if I didn't. That said, I mean, I do choose my phrasing sometimes a little more carefully than I might have in the past. If you listen to any of my old podcasting, if you go to StarWarsFanWorks.com, same place that has my timeline, except without the /timeline on it, all my old podcasts are there. Except I think maybe EU Review. But you can listen to like my old Chrono Radio episodes. You know, I was an arrogant, foul-mouthed little prick on that show. I knew my thing, and because I knew my thing, screw y'all was kind of, you know, I was just, you know, I was a 20-something acting like I was still a teenager in some respects, to some degree. I've grown a lot since then, and as such, I feel like I've got a more mature approach now. But I can understand how a lot of podcasters, especially those who are just starting out, have that sort of full of themselves perspective, because that was how I felt at the time. Like, oh my gosh, I've got an audience. They must want to hear what I think, and nobody gives a shit about what any other perspective would be. Yeah, that's not the way it's supposed to work, you know? But it takes living life as an adult for a while, I think, to get a perspective that makes you realize that, you know, this too shall pass, and I'm not the end-all, be-all of anything, you know? Just kind of the way that I kind of developed into it. But you can definitely see an evolution. That's actually why I've thought about putting some of my old podcasts on YouTube, just like put a logo with it and put it up as a YouTube video, but no, because people will gripe about things that I said like 15 years ago or something, and I'll have to go back and listen just to be able to respond to people flaming, and I don't have time for that crap.
What are you looking at? I know what I'm doing.
Evidence? Evidence? You don't need evidence anymore, do you? Yeah, I think that's kind of... I try. I'd like to think evidence is important, even today. Ah, there we go. At least I got one more kill with it. I was shooting just a little too high for that sniper that kept popping his head up over there. That's when I'm firing with it, I'm looking at where it hits. I'm not looking at the targeting reticle, which is slightly different. So I need to be more careful with that, even though I've changed my reticle to blue. U.S. Election Atlas? I've never heard of. What is that? I need to catch up on The Flash. I am caught up on The Flash, except for the crossover episodes. And like I said, my wife and I will watch all the crossover stuff tomorrow night, since she's not going to be back early enough tonight. But I'm caught up on everything else with The Flash. We actually caught up recently on all the CW stuff, and then caught up on all the Fox stuff that was sitting on Hulu, and now we just caught up on The Gifted. So probably the next thing we'll catch up on... Actually, hopefully we'll be caught up on everything and be able to just start watching Stranger Things Season 2 or Punisher. Because we've been holding off on those where we're catching up on stuff that might expire from Hulu. But I'm really looking forward to seeing them. Wells the Grey. Funny. Kind of interesting to see if he comes back, but I doubt it. As long as it's a nonpartisan, kind of like intellectually honest thing, that'd be interesting. I'm having an easier time getting into the DC TV shows than into the DC movies. But at the same time, some of the DC TV shows have gone downhill. Like, Arrow has failed to really catch me the last couple of years. Legends of Tomorrow is eh. Flash is pretty good. Supergirl's pretty good. Gotham is something my wife likes, but I barely can stand. Actually, oddly enough, the thing on CW that's a comic book-based series that we actually probably like the most right now is Riverdale, of all things. It's loosely based on the Archie comics.
Like my father.
Very loosely.
Chop resistance agent
Gifted actually turned out much better than I thought. Gifted did not... I was not intrigued by it at all, but I was like, yeah. I'll put it on the Hulu list and we'll watch it someday. And then we burned through all 8 episodes in 2 nights. We're just like, this is really, really awesome. I called the Fenris connection pretty early, but didn't realize that it was going to be a generational thing. Like, I was thinking that the brother and sister that are on it are going to wind up, it turns out your original names were blah, 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 and then they become Fenris, as opposed to them, the Fenris being the, was it great-grandparents, I guess, of the two main kid characters. Oh, hello! Shot through a hole, feeling so small. Yash. Okay. Oh, really? See, I'm the opposite. I love the psychology of stuff, and the darker stuff. So for me, Jessica Jones was awesome. And Daredevil was decent, but I wasn't as big a... Daredevil was pretty good, but I wasn't as big a fan of, like, Luke Cage and Iron Fist. But I really like Jessica Jones, mainly because, I mean, I like David Tennant, but just the darker psychological overtones of that show were pretty good. Should they do a Dumbledore Wells? I mean, they've already done the Gray. Maybe very similar.
Clear to go.
That works.
And I've got the
Yeah, the whatchamacallit, the
makes a difference. Everyone move. Yeah.
exchange rates suck right now. Now where am I on my stuff? Haven't seen Punisher yet. I'm looking forward to it, though. Okay, let's see. 2 more Sentry kills to get. And about another 2,000, 2,300 for Defender before I can switch that away. Impact Grenade still slow. Heavy kills still a while. Isn't there a heavy... Get 150 heavy kills, though? That I saw? So I gotta be getting close to that. Or maybe it was 150 with the FWMB, but even then, most of my heavy kills have been with FWMB. So we'll see. Ooh. Okay. See, I don't have cable, so I can't watch regular CNN, but I could listen to it in my car on the Sirius satellite radio if I still had my damn car. Yeah, I'll have to catch that on YouTube afterwards. I need to watch their other one, because didn't they do one like a month or 2 ago? A Cruz-Sanders debate? That's what the presidential debates, frankly, should have been. Cruz and Sanders. Let's see. Will do. Do I like that it's not a speedster villain? Yeah. But this villain hasn't been very compelling either. So... thoughts on the campaign? Again, good. Enjoyable. Love the banter in it. Fairly well written. I like the characters. I like the story. But again, it's not what was promised to us. It is not what it was sold as. We were told this is a story from the Imperial perspective. And we'd be able to see the Imperial point of view in that era, and then we would sort of see the building of the First Order and everything, because we'd see a story that bridges the gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. And it turns out that we got a story that, except for the last chapter that's right before The Force Awakens, is all set just in the year between Endor and Jakku. And it's only about 1/3 an Imperial story, and then it winds up being the exact same kind of story we've seen a million times before. Why'd I go up here? I'm not a specialist this time. Dur, dur, dur. Let's get back down here. We may not hardly be able to jump in this engine, by God, but we can fall from ridiculous heights and barely get hurt. Because, you know, armor helps when you fall from a height or some incorrect physics like that. Oh, come on! Maybe I should have shot him in the face.
I'm at your side.
Although I learned while playing as specialist that even with the best of the special, or the second best of the specialist sniper rifles for damage, you still got to shoot somebody in the head like 2 or 3 times before they die. The heroes have less health than they probably should, and and everybody else has more than they probably should on this game right now. But they'll probably tweak it at some point.
Reactor control is all that remains in this sector.
Tom Welling Superman would be awesome. Not sure if he really looks the part anymore, though, seeing him on Lucifer. But yeah, Smallville was my favorite comic book-based television series ever. It's the only one probably that I've watched multiple times all the way through. I've got the big season set in there. And I didn't go get that book between matches like I said I was going to. I need to do that. Not a bad influence so much as just an influence. Yeah, that's it. Taxes, that's what it was. That's what it was. What's interesting about the Tom Welling Superman and the whole Smallville thing is that they did expand beyond beyond the series, beyond season 10 with comics that were actually decent. I think they were web exclusive originally because there were Smallville comics that weren't like later season stories that kind of sucked. That's what you get for trying to shoot me, specialist. I'll show you, special. Yeah, I mean, they've got their own Superman now, who doesn't really look like Superman for Supergirl. But that doesn't mean they couldn't have a Superman in, you know, the Flash/Arrow/ Legends of Tomorrow continuity and just say that, you know, it just happens to be, it looks different than the other one, but they haven't really done that much, that whole looks different from a different universe thing. Most of the time it's, let's get the same actors to play the part and just play it differently. Yeah! Would you like, I think that may have just finally done it. That those two right there may have finally given me the end of that one milestone I've been working on. When I watch The Punisher, will do. Do I collect figures? Only ones I've got the Thrawn 6-inch Black Series. My wife's got some Yoda figures and Kylo Ren figures that she has unopened on a display with a bunch of Yoda and Kylo Ren stuff. Otherwise, the only figures I've got the original Kyle Katarn Expanded Universe series figure from back in the day, and then I've got the ones based on my comic. If you're not familiar with it, I wrote a comic called Equals and Opposites for Star Wars Tales back in 2004. That sort of brought back Kyle Katarn and gave us a chance to see the Yuuzhan Vong in a comic before they ever got around to making the Invasion comic series. And in the process, a couple years later, they decided to pull that story by itself and give it a reprinting that had action figures of that costume version of Kyle Katarn and of one of the Yuuzhan Vong warriors from it. So I've got a few of those. I got a couple unopened. And then I've got a couple that are opened of that comic pack. Because, of course, you can't get it anymore except for ridiculous prices on eBay and things like that. So I tried to have multiple copies just in case any of them get messed up or anything. What do I think of Superman Returns? I thought it was decent. Kind of interesting that it turns out that Superman was an absentee father. But it's okay, because now he can be a dad. Because he let the surrogate dad die. Yeah, not exactly the greatest family story. Legends of Luke Skywalker, I haven't got a chance to get through yet. Not yet. Just checking the system. Still good. Oh, it's almost 9. I didn't realize that. Probably stop and take a break and then jump back in here in a few. Hello! Where you guys going? Hey guys! What you doing? Where are you going? Just like randomly follow the dude. That's been done multiple times. Hasn't the Flash always wound up being the winner? Or it's been deemed a tie for some reason?
Attacking these exits.
There we go. Whew. Of course, then I look around and there's nobody to shoot, so getting up here isn't beneficial to me at all. Fantastic. This will be a day long remembered. Except for the people that I kill, because they won't remember because they'll be dead. Hard to say. Oh, God. They do like to bring people back, though. Like Damien Dark being the villain in another frickin' season of another frickin' CW/DC show. Damien Dark wasn't even compelling as a villain the first time, let alone the second and now third times. Some of the voice acting is all right in this one, but I'd say in the first game it was pretty terrible, and in this game some of them are not all that great. But like Ray and Finn, for instance, they're using the actual actors and actresses. Same thing for the clones; they're using D. Bradley Baker from the Clone Wars. I mean, that works.
Bring it under control.
Bring it under control. See, my wife likes Gotham. I'm tired. I just feel like Gotham lost its groove. Like, Gotham's first season was awesome. And since then, Gotham has just gone to crap. Most of the characters aren't all that interesting. It's like they don't quite know what to do with Bruce Wayne, so they're going to turn him into Batman super early, except not call it Batman. It's just... doesn't do it for me anymore. Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin was pretty good. I always liked him in Law & Order Criminal Intent because it was basically designed as sort of a Sherlock Holmes kind of thing. And then they gave him Nicole Wallace as his Moriarty type figure. Up the stairs, up the stairs, up that stairs, over these stairs, up these stairs. I walked all that way only to almost get blown up by an explosive in the face. That is just not cool. That is not cool, man. Oh, that's where that leads. It's leading me to the back end of that thing. Okay. That's one thing I don't think I've done much, if at all, for this game that I used to do on every other map, basically, of the original Battlefront. Which is, you know, what's your objective on this mission? There you go. Now we got some Beastie Boys sabotaging here. Ain't nobody walking down this hallway. Hallway of the doomed. Ah, summer vacation. I wish we're in wintertime for us. But it's the Atlanta area, so it's just cold and, you know, you gotta scrape ice off your car from time to time, but it's not like it's crazy cold. Do I like Bruce Wayne in Gotham? I liked Bruce Wayne when he wasn't a douche in Gotham. Bruce Wayne now is just a punk ass, basically. I thought their interpretation of Ra's al Ghul was pretty decent, but was gone too soon. But I like Alexander Siddig in most stuff that he's in. Siddig El Fadil. I'm thinking that the other people playing this map may not realize that sabotage means you gotta like stand there and do it. You gotta hold it down. Yeah. Oh, this one isn't a hold down. My bad. I'm just an idiot. Awesome. I much prefer me being an idiot than a bunch of people being idiots, because at least that means that there's only one dumb person and it's me.
I'm on my way.
As opposed to being surrounded by idiots.
Resistance commander on site. Can't get an ID.
Yeah, Russell, I lived in Evansville until moving down here in July of 2002. I mean, it's not nearly as cold still even there as in Lafayette or anywhere up kind of further north in Indiana, but yep. In fact, snow and crappy winter weather is part of why I moved, because I was like, I'm done with that crap.
Starboard charges will detonate momentarily. Be ready.
Yoo-hoo! Come back! And now he's going to try to come back, probably, and I'm going to throw a grenade. Oh! How do you like that for predicting your behavior? Ha ha ha! Just for that?
Destroyed. They'll head to the second transport.
Boom! Yes, I did just use an emote to put myself in harm's way to do it. Oh, that's a good place probably to do a... As soon as my thing charges back up.
No one gets close.
Come out the door! You know you want to come out the door. Come on! Okay. The cold hurt. Yeah. The air hurts. The air is not supposed to hurt. Yeah, that said, though, I mean, now that I live in the Atlanta area, so we don't get the snow really, but we'll get like the ice. And people down here aren't used to driving in ice, and Atlanta gets a lot of crap for Snowmageddon a couple of years ago, where, you know, there was all the highways shut down and all that stuff. But it's not that it was snow on the ground, it was ice on the ground. We get like sheets of pure ice. And then it starts to do a little bit of sprinkling of snow, and we'll get a little bit of flurries on top of the ice, and that's it. Like, we don't usually get actual snow.
We have a special operative on site. Assist as needed. They're for grenade!
Grenade! Oh, I almost killed Ray, and it didn't work.
The resistance has escaped. The Imperial droid is gone. Now its secrets belong to
See, I
the
would love
enemy.
to see somebody on Gotham say that and be like, wait, what? I always ask that of all my prey. There we go. I knew that was the one I would get. Sentry crate. Progress on heavy impact at 10. Where am I? I'll go ahead and open the crate real quick and jump out. Actually, I'll open the crate. What I'll do is I'll open the crate. I'll kill the stream, take a minute, get a drink, get a snack, whatever, and then be back on after that. I'll let you know when, once I know. Once it kind of depends on how long opening the crate and wrapping up takes. But yeah. Oh, and I almost forgot. The Blackhawks are playing tonight. My wife has gotten me into hockey, and that's our team. So how are they doing? Blackhawks won, Predators won last I saw. Oh, this is actually the game she was wanting to go see in Nashville, but they didn't put the tickets on sale early enough, so she went to one in Raleigh that was Hurricanes versus Blackhawks instead. Can we maybe go back to the menu sometime, guys? Maybe, possibly? Or is this going to be like when I did the last stream and I just got stuck on a blank friggin' loading screen? There we go. You've lost connection to the EA servers. It tells me that every time I leave a match by choice. Okay, so let's see. We got collection and career. Collection? Oh yeah, because I didn't go back to the collection after I opened that thing earlier. Oh, I got enough to buy at least one more crate. So, actually, let's go to career. Go to troopers. And redeem that one for a sentry crate. Okay. I hope it's not going to give me something I've already got, because that would suck. I think Bruce Wayne will show up where? I mean, Bruce Wayne's in Gotham already. See ya, Lego. Here we go. Alright, so Sentry Crate. A heavy class explosive Sentry common star card and 250 credits. So, when you finish a milestone that gives you a supply crate of some kind that's specifically named, some of them are like this, and they'll actually tell you what you're getting, guaranteed. Other ones will be like when you spend 150 minutes playing as any particular class, you get the one that's the veteran crate for that class, and you just get something that's like a level, I think it's a level 3, or a rare for that class, but they don't tell you what card it's going to be, right? Top 1% has been said 3 times already. Wow. Alright, sentry crates, so this will give me those. I don't think I've got explosive yet, though. I've got supercharged, but I don't think I've got explosive. So there's that. Yep, so it's new. That's the one I actually used a lot. I think it was an upgraded version of it, but I used that a lot during the beta. But it makes you, if I remember correctly, explosive sentry locks you in place and you can't move while you're using the turret. But then it fires slower and it's all explosive shots. And then there's the 250 credits. And like I said, for me, the Starfighter crate is the one that I find is most worthwhile, because I don't play as the heroes as much as I jump in and play the Starfighter mode. And it's only a 200 credit difference, whereas the Trooper crate is way more expensive. And you still get usually something for the Troopers as well within one of the other crates. So I go Starfighter, so I'll open 1. Since that's all I can afford right now, right? Oh, I got a blue. I got a rare. Oh, actually, I got an uncommon and a rare in here. Sweet. So we got flash pistol, which is new for the assault class. Awesome. Crafting parts. Battle hardened for aerial. Cool. Like for the aerial class, like not the girl from Little Mermaid or anything. And then that means that this is going to be the one that's for a Starfighter, because that's what this crate is for, and I haven't seen any Starfighter stuff yet, and it's going to be a rare. That's pretty sweet. What is it? Tactical jammer for Luke's T-65B X-Wing. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I don't know what it does. Let's find out what it does. Collection. Wow. Okay, so Assault just got a new one, which is flash pistol, which replaces a scan dart. Okay. Heavy. I already got supercharged sentry, which is pretty good. Explosive sentry's less. Actually, no, that's not it. Where's explosives? There it is. Yeah. You can't move, but it's a slow rate of fire with explosive fire. Okay. Then see, aerial just got something new. I'm still not at the point of being able to use the 3rd slot for aerial yet, though. Actually, how close am I? I need... What do I need? I need level 10, and I am level 7, I think. I think that's what it was just saying. Yeah, 7. What is that? Jetpack abilities recharge faster is that one. That's the new one. Maximum health increased. It was battle hardened. Well, that's cool. So I'm going to use... I'm going to go ahead and put battle hardened in place of that one for now. And then Rey has her new emote from earlier. So she has that. That was lucky. And now I can handle myself. It's interesting that the heroes have no emotes until you unlock them. So, see, okay. I'm betting probably between 9:15, 9:20. Probably 9:20-ish. And then, what else do we have? Yoda. That decreases afterburner cooldown. What does this one do? Increases duration of the ion pulse effect. Okay. I'll take it. And then Luke. Ooh, I do have another slot for this. So I got tuned lasers turned on that does a damage increase for primary weapon. And the tactical jammer is the new one that increases the time for enemies to gain a missile lock. By 150%. Damn. I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay, cool. All right, so it is 9:07 by my clock, Eastern Standard, or whatever time. My plan at this point is, again, to jump off of here, get a drink, eat something real quick, even if it's just like a handful of leftover turkey or something, and then I'll probably jump back on right around 9:20, 9:25-ish, so approximately 10 to 15 minutes-ish from now. It'll pop up, it should pop up a notice if you have it set up to do so on YouTube, but just, you know, check back. You should see it on the channel there, and it should give a notice also on PSN, I believe. So, all right, see you, Lego fam. So I'll be back. No sense giving you all the spiel for the end of episode stuff. So thank you for watching. Be back in a few minutes with another one of the Battlefront live streams. Thanks for stopping by. For those who aren't back for the next stream, hopefully I'll catch you on another one. See you guys in a few, hopefully.